Yeah. Shasta,
Sorry.
thank you. As a result of that decision, he was sent to Mount Shasta, where he was trained for several years by Pearl Doris, the former director of I Am Sanctuary of San Francisco, an assistant to Godfrey Ray King, the founder of Saint Germain Foundation and the author of Unveiled Mysteries. Except for various travels and retreat, he has continued to live in Mount Shasta. He is the author of many books, some autobiographical, which teaches us how to use the I am affirmation to bring the teachings of the Ascended Masters into fruition in daily life. Recently, his focus has been to bring the meditative teachings of the Far East into union with the I am consciousness. So, Peter is author of Adventures of the Western Mystic, In Search of Guru, and I Am Violet Tara. So, hello, Peter.
Yeah.
So, we are comprising of Filipino seekers, seekers from India, Mexico, Canada, US. So, we are gathered here because we really want to meet you and learn more about the Violet Flame, Saint Germain, and the Violet Tara. I
Good.
think the Violet Tara is calling us. That's why we're all here today.
Okay. Okay, very good. So I'm going to lock the meeting here. Is that okay? Or should I leave it open? Yeah. Okay, I lock the meeting. And then make sure everybody's muted here. And well, it's a whoops, what the screen is jumping around here, doing different things. Let me get my this technology, they change it all the time, you know. So okay, so it's good to see you all.
Good to see you too.
And we're gathered here by the grace of the Ascended Masters. That you've all been called for this, and also by the courtesy of Joanna, who's gathered everybody here. I know the Masters are working through you to bring about this meeting. So, you'd like me to start talking about the Violet Tara, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Or tell us briefly about your meeting with Saint Germain and how did you get to know him physically, personally. That would be very interesting because a lot of here are also reading your book and a student of Saint Germain. So that would be.
Well, you know, I spent a lot of time traveling around India with Ram Das and with his guru Neem Karoli Baba and Satya Sai Baba and I met many gurus. Some of them didn't even have names that could work miracles, you know, that didn't need to eat and never aged and things like that. Then when I came back to the United States, everybody's just struggling to make more money and to become famous and all that, you know, or for pleasure and, you know, parties and drugs. And I said, I don't want any of this, you know. So I thought, I knew a yogi in India was getting ready to leave his body. When they want, when their time is finished, they can just go into meditation and leave, go to a higher plane, you know. So I thought I will do that too. So I went to Muir Woods, which is a forest near San Francisco. And I really prayed for permission to leave. And I didn't really believe totally in the Ascended Masters, you know, because in Buddhism, they teach when you become enlightened, then there's no self, that you're gone, like you merge with the ocean of consciousness, you know. But I thought I should pray anyway, you know. So suddenly this man materialized out of thin air in front of me, just a young guy, like a hiker or something, but he didn't walk up, he just was there, you know. And he said, I can help you leave your body if you want. But he said, I want to show you something first. So he took me above the earth, and it took me out of the physical body above the earth. And the beings there look like balls of light. Like you see the painting behind me, that's the I am, that's your higher self, that ball of light. So your true self is a ball of light with beautiful rainbow colors around it, you know? So when I was there, the feeling of bliss was tremendous, just joy and bliss, you know? I said, this is it. This is where I want to be. But then I heard this crying coming from someplace, and it got louder and louder. And I looked down, and there was the earth, like this blue ball beneath my feet. I said, what is that? That's awful. He said, that is the suffering of humanity. He said, the masters hear that all the time. And I said, oh, I want to go back and help. And he said, you made the right choice. I want you to help me in my work, but first you need training. So I want you to go to Mount Shasta, and your teacher is waiting for you there. The first person you meet in Mount Shasta will tell you what to do next, you know? So next thing I know, I'm back in my body in Muir Woods. Joanna, you disappeared. What happened? You turned your, oh, there you are. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I got in my car and, you know, drove to Mount Shasta. Somehow I got here in 2 hours. It should be 6-hour drive, but I got here in 2 hours. And I had people were just eating breakfast, which, you know, I must have left Muir Woods at 9 o'clock. I got here at 11, you know, or 10:30 even, I don't know. So I met a young guy who owned a health food store, and he said, you're supposed to meet this lady by the name of Pearl. You know, I have her book here. Here's a picture of Pearl. She was a student of Godfrey Ray. Well, she worked with Godfrey Ray King, who started the Saint Germain Foundation. Anyway, I went to see Pearl, and she said, I've been waiting for you. And I said, how could you be waiting for me? I don't know you. And she said, Saint Germain came to me this morning and told me he was sending you. And then I told her what happened in Muir Woods. She said, that was Saint Germain. You know, so that was 1973. And anyway, I have a lot of experiences with him that are in my books that I write about. But where the Violet Tara comes in,
Yes.
one day I was, what's happening? Can you mute these people?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so one day I was visiting a friend and I was saying goodbye. Suddenly I saw Saint Germain standing right behind him in his etheric body. And he said, I want you to write about Violet Tara. And he gave me what's like a mind-to-mind transmission. Like I saw the whole book from beginning to end, what I was supposed to write. But of course, I didn't hear the words. That I had to do that myself. And that, you know, took a couple of months to do that. And that became the first Violet Tara book, you know, this book. And see, this actually taking the teachings of India and Tibet and incorporating them with the Western teachings of the I Am, you know. And this is very important, you know. It looks complicated, but it's actually very simple, you know. Like the I Am teachings are not just decreeing to get what you want, you know what I mean? It's also understanding yourself and becoming a pure being, how to purify your mind, you know? And also how to invoke the masters, not just by words, but by the visualization and mantra and, you know, your imagination. You know, imagination is God in action, creating things, you know.
Wow.
So that book came out. Then, of course, more people wanted to talk to me about it. So I did a lot of Zoom sessions about Violet Tara, and those were, you know, those are recorded. And then we have to mute that person.
Yeah, please mute your audio. So
Yeah,
that
we have to,
I already muted her.
okay,
Helen, mute your video.
yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
That was the cat.
The cat wants to learn too. Cats are very spiritual. So anyway, all the talk about people started having experiences with Violet Tara. And so I decided to make a book out of all these people's stories and more discussion about Violet Tara. So that became the second book, which is this book,
Oh, okay.
So then I thought, why have two separate books, So I got the idea, combine them all into this new book. It's book 1 and 2. I Am Violet Tara, books 1 and 2.
The
That's
cover
on Amazon. It's in Kindle. In fact, right now it's on sale. So anyway, and on the back, very beautiful picture by Amareya of the I Am presence,
I am then.
So it may sound complicated, but it's really very simple. And probably many of you are doing this kind of practice already. Like, say you have a picture of Mother Mary, like this, and people pray to Mother Mary and they get results. But we don't know. Nobody was there thousands of years ago, did a painting of her,
Oh,
We don't.
yeah.
Somebody shared that link with somebody they shouldn't, because I closed the meeting. So I've never seen that happen before. Okay, well, we're all set now. A little excitement. So I'm saying is that you can send love to a being and that calls them forth, whether it's Mother Mary, Jesus, Saint Germain, or, Violet Tara, So they're all aspects of ourselves, because ultimately we are all the presence of God. We're all like drops from the same ocean, So Jesus and Mary are in that ocean, Violet Tara, so on, Now these, in Tibetan Buddhism, they talk about 21 Taras. These were not actual women that were born in Tibet. These are aspects of consciousness that they invoke, And like one represents maybe abundance, material abundance. And another one can be a wrathful one that scolds you if you're bad, I mean, the mother sometimes has to scold the child, Like, don't play with fire, and I'm going to punish you if you do that again, because we don't want to burn the house down, So the goddess can be wrathful also. So half of these 21 Taras are wrathful, half are more peaceful. That's what the Tibetan Buddhists say, but they have their own kind of cosmology, or philosophy. So Violet Tara is an aspect of consciousness, specifically forgiveness. Now, when you forgive somebody, it's not just them that is helped by that, it helps you, And we should all, during this time, be asking, is there somebody I need to forgive, maybe from a long time ago, like my parents or my grandfather or somebody that hurt us, that we carry that wound around with us. We need to look at that and forgive them. And, if you realize what made them do that painful thing, it's because somebody hurt them. Maybe I hurt them in a past life, then they hurt me in this life, So we need to forgive these people, and we need to ask for forgiveness. That doesn't mean get on the phone or write a letter. You just imagine that person in front of you and say, I'd like to clear this, and have what I call an inner talk. Like, you just imagine that you're like having a Zoom session with that person and say, I'd like to clear this with you. Is that okay? And then you feel better. So Violet Tara represents this principle of forgiveness. And also the violet fire is called the fire of forgiveness. And see, violet in the rainbow, violet is toward the end of the spectrum, you know. Starts out with like red, which is energy, power, you know, then orange, yellow, green, blue, so on, violet, you know. So that's as you ascend, there's more and more violet light, and violet purifies your aura. Violet is very healing also. So one of the best things you can do for the earth is send that violet light out, you know, and maybe you don't see it. I found many people are seeing it, especially women seem to see it more easily. They're more maybe sensitive to that, to the light quality, you know. And sometimes I see it powerfully, other times I don't, you know. It just depends, you know. Last week I was talking to Violet Tara and I said, I haven't had any proof of you for a long time. You know, are you still there? I was saying, are you there? You know, so I was walking around, there's a field here. I was walking around and I imagined that the earth was in the middle of the field and I was making a big circle. And I held my hands up and said, I am sending violet light to the earth. And I was chanting, actually, I was chanting the compassion mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. You know, but then I switched also then to Om Tare Tutare Tare Swaha, you know, and my hands, I put this in the Violet Tara Facebook page, they started glowing with violet light, especially the fingernails. I went, wow, what is that? Then I turned my hand, the violet light was coming out of my hand. But you see, what I was doing was trying to help the earth. It's not just, oh, I want to see violet light. I was sending this to the earth, and because of that, then they gave me this experience, you know, or Violet Tara gave me this experience, you know. Now you could think of Violet Tara as Saint Germain's twin ray, you know. I mean, there are a lot of theories about who Saint Germain's twin ray is, you know, but she can do many things, you know, like you can be CEO of a company and you can be a mother or a father, or you can still be something else. So whoever Saint Germain's twin ray is, she manifests also as Violet Tara.
Wow.
Yeah.
So anyone who wants to ask a question, you can raise your hand.
Well, let me say one thing. I heard you playing that beautiful song, the Tara mantra. Now, the Tibetans cannot pronounce certain Sanskrit. The mantra is in Sanskrit. And Sanskrit has tremendous power that is not in Tibetan so much. Tibetan is a mixture of several different languages. So it's good if you can do the Sanskrit mantra, which ends with swaha, not soha. So the Tibetans, somehow they cannot pronounce swaha, they say soha instead. It doesn't make a huge difference. If you really like soha, that's fine, but I just thought I would mention, and in the book, it says swaha, Om Tare Tutare Tere Swaha. Swaha means so be it. And I think that has a lot of power, swaha, you know. Anyway, it's just a detail.
Wow, amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that
My pleasure.
very important part of the mantra.
Yeah.
So, so anyone who wants to ask a question, they can raise their hand. Mataji, you can use the reaction button here, down the lower. Okay, Mataji. You can unmute yourself and ask a question for Peter.
Okay.
Hello, Mataji.
Pranam, Peter.
Mm.
I would like to begin by saying thank you so much for all the work that you have done in the world, for the choices that you have done in your life, for the contributions that you have done, the books that you have written. It took a lot, and you've been through a lot of purification, a lot of life-changing experiences and very important choices that you have made, and thus gained the love of so many masters. So first and foremost, I want to extend my gratitude
Thank you.
and God's blessings to you and your family and your lineage and your ancestors, etc., etc.
Thank you.
So I just would like to ask maybe a very practical question that people could use in everyday life. I am yet to read your books, but it has been, from the YouTube, they've been very, very inspiring. I just wanted to ask a few things. So number one is, how can they use the violet flame every single day of their lives? When do they use it? How often? And what does it really do? What does it do when they envelope themselves with violet light and their families? And what does it do when they do that to the planet? At the same time, to create a significant change in the planet, how many people do you think are required to do the violet flame invocation?
Even if one person did it in God consciousness to change the earth. What the masters tell me, don't think that you're not important. You know, I'm sitting here alone in this room, and don't think I'm way out here far away from humanity. You are everywhere. So when you meditate and then you say with great love, you invoke the violet fire, violet Tara, that is doing good for the whole world, because the masters amplify that. You know, they can only interfere so much. They need people on the earth to call them into action, then they can interfere more, you know? So that violet light dissolves negative thought forms, you know, like anger, fear, jealousy, greed, all those things. It burns that up, you know? It also purifies, when you send that out, say you're sending that to Ukraine, I want violet fire to blaze through Ukraine. It goes through you first. So it purifies your aura, it purifies your energy, it helps your health even. So first thing in the morning and last thing at night, I do 108 repetitions of violet Tara, you know, the violet Tara mantra. Sometimes I do the Sanskrit, Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. Other times I do, I am Tara of violet fire. I am the purity God desires. And boy, then I have great sleep. I go out and it's fantastic, you know? Or if I go into town, I'm sitting in a cafe, I call on violet Tara to blaze through the town of Mount Shasta, or to blaze through this cafe. You know, so it's helping people, even they don't know it. Maybe they went in, they were depressed, and oh, now they feel good. Why do I feel good all of a sudden? They don't know it was you sitting in the corner, you know? So, and I would like to say, I'd like to say one other thing. I would like to thank you for your blessing that you gave me. I felt the Divine Mother come through you, you know? So you use the name Mataji, which is Divine Mother. So that is an affirmation yourself. You are affirming, I am the presence of the Divine Mother. So I heard Divine Mother speaking through you, you know? So I want to acknowledge that. So you can also say, I am Violet Tara, you know?
We all are. We all are.
Yeah, but the more love you feel, the more you put devotion and love into it, the more real it becomes, you know? So
Yes,
anyway,
wonderful.
yeah.
I just have, Joanna,
Sure.
can I still ask like a couple more questions? Is that okay?
Sure.
Or if there are others who want to ask questions?
Well, we'll get to
then-
them. You're on camera, so.
Okay. This is just for the sake of everybody also who wants to start to begin a sadhana on the Tara, because it's the Om Tare Tutare Ture Shwaha is also the same for green Tara, and it's also the same for the other 21 Taras. So does it, when we visualize the violet flame, does it require the invocation or the decree, or is it enough to just visualize it
Yeah, well,
and wrap others around it?
that in itself, the strongest actually is your feeling, you know what I mean? If you have strong feeling, like if you love Mother Mary and you're thinking about her, you're already invoking her, do you know what I mean? And the same with Violet Tara, just thinking about her, feeling her, having love for her, that invokes that, you know, but when you put the words in, that's even more powerful, you know? And then sometimes people maybe even make a gesture, you know, like maybe violet fire blaze through here, dissolve and consume anything less than perfection. I am invoking the violet consuming, you know, or I am violet light going forth. That, you know, if you stand up, you don't maybe want to do it in public, but you can stand in your room. I am the presence of Violet Tara, sending the violet fire wherever needed. You know, boom. Then it goes. So you know, it's like you think it mentally, you feel it in your heart, you say the mantra and you make the gesture. Then you're bringing all these, you know, they say mantra, mudra, visualization. You know, the more you do, the more powerful it becomes, you know.
That's lovely. Thank you. I just want to make one note. My mother is here. Her name is Violetta. And all her life, she's a big fan of the color violet. She buys violet clothes. She has amethysts. She's right there. And they are the crazy ones who gave me the name Mataji. It's a baptized, Catholic baptized name from the autobiography of a yogi, the sister of Baba. So I just one last question. I just feel like that question is really coming out. What do you feel really is your mission in life as of now? Like, is it to spread the knowledge of the violet flame? Is it to raise awareness for the violet Tara? Is it to bring the consciousness of Saint Germain here on earth? So for you personally, what do you think is your main work here on the planet?
Well, it's all of the things you mentioned. You know, like I was given the 3 times I've been given the chance to leave, to go to a higher world, you know, to ascend. And I always say, whatever will help humanity, if I can help humanity more by staying here, then I'll stay here. So while I'm here, I just, every day I ask, what can I do today? A lot of times I just feel, go into town, you're supposed to meet somebody. Then, you know, at the post office, I run into someone who says, oh, I need to talk with you, or something like that. But when I'm not doing that, I'm doing the inner work, sending violet light, and do a lot of affirmations, you know, for all the governments and the whole world situation, you know, just, I am peace on earth, you know, just to say that, you know. So, you know, a lot of my work has been writing. I have 12, 13 books out, you know, but also just this sharing like we're sharing now, you know.
Thank you. Can I just have, sorry, I know I've been asking for one more extra. If there is anything else that you would like, that you would want in your life, what would that be?
Oh, for me personally? Just to be free of any doubts or fears or any impatience. That's it, to be free of impatience.
Impatient.
To be more patient, you know.
Thank you. And may God bless you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. My mom is raising her hand, Joanna. She doesn't know how to click buttons.
I see Violetta there, I see.
Violetta, your turn now.
Yes. Pranam to Peter.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay. My question is, why violet, not brilliant white light? What's the difference?
Well, all of the colors of the rainbow are in the white light, you know? So if you have a crystal, you can see all the colors, but each color does something different, you know? So like red is very energizing, powerful, you know? And like, why is our blood red? It has a special function. And then, you know, green is very healing, you know, soothing. They all have a different quality, You can feel it. If you walk into a room that's red, it feels one way. You walk into a room that's violet, it feels very different, you know. All the colors affect us differently, you know.
I got it, Peter. It's just a play of colors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
Okay,
you. Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Many blessings. Okay.
So hello, Peter. I would like to ask a question about ascension. And how do we know that that we are ascending, you know, that we are on the part of ascension process?
If you're even thinking about ascension, you're ascending a little bit, you know. I mean, just doing these practices, you're ascending a little bit. When you meditate, you're ascending a little bit. So, you know, the word ascension is used differently now, kind of in the New Age, than they used to use it a long time ago. The great masters that ascended, they actually dissolved the physical body, you know, and poof, they were then a being of light, you know, like Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars, you know. But every time you meditate, you increase your frequency a little bit, you know. And so we're all kind of, if you're on the spiritual path, you're ascending a little bit every day. Whenever you think about God, even just say the word God and feel it in your heart. That's raising your frequency, you know. I'll show you a picture. The 16th Karmapa, he's going into his rainbow body. Can you see that? You can see right through the top part of his body.
Wow.
Can you see that?
Yes. Wow.
So someone took that photograph that you can see, because he was meditating, he was doing a ceremony in San Francisco, and he started to disappear, you know. Now the camera picked that up. The people that were there didn't see it, but on the camera it came through, you know.
Wow.
So, and sometimes when I'm with a group that's meditating, I see violet light in the room, you know. Or if I'm what I call the looking meditation that Pearl taught me, you can meditate with another person with your eyes open. You turn your attention inward, but your eyes are open. You feel God in yourself like the sun, and then you feel the sun in the other person. Like we can even do that now. The sun in my heart is blessing the sun in your heart. So I am the Son of God, sending my light to the sun in your heart. And you can think the same thing. So, see, on a higher level, we're really all in the same room. Etherically, we're meeting in a temple somewhere. It's just the physical bodies are around the world, you know, so you can feel that. I do this sometimes on Zoom with somebody where they can feel it, you know. Like I feel the light in your heart right now.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Yeah.
It's a very cold feeling
Yeah, good
in my
feeling.
heart.
Yeah. So you can think of anybody on the earth and send them that light, you know. I do this almost every day. I send light to all the world leaders and ask them the masters to guide them and direct them, things like that, you know. You don't realize how powerful you are, that you're all very powerful beings, you know, but you just have to use it, you know. They say, use it or lose it.
Oh, yeah, that's
You know?
true.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets. So this is how you become a master, by using this light. Instead of, if you look at the news and saying, oh, you know, and you think negative things, then you're increasing the negative energy, but you say, well, that news story just shows I need to send light there. So I am the presence of God and the ascended master sending light into that situation. That does tremendous good, you know.
So what is important is that we acknowledge the God within us and then send that presence into the world so that we can help them.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. See, you're
So
transmitting energy all the time from the moment you wake up in the morning till you go to bed at night. You're sending out energy, and that energy is colored by your thoughts and your feelings. So then you observe yourself. I just had a negative thought. Like today, when I was driving into town, a car pulled out, made a U-turn right in front of me, almost hit me. And I had, negative thoughts about that person, and then I said, wait a minute, Peter, you're sending out negative energy. That's not helping. I send love to you. I pray that your I am presence will help you be a better driver. Then I let go of that. I am the violet fire dissolving and consuming my impatience or my anger that I sent to that person,
wow. Thank you, Peter.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Alexandra has a question. Alexandra, you can unmute yourself. Thank you.
Pranams. It's really great to meet you.
Great.
I bought your Violet Terra book a couple of years ago, and it looked really beautiful and it really called to me. I've been really blessed. I learned Violet Flame a long time ago. Anyway, I read your books, and I also want to offer you blessings to all your sacrifice, your humility, the humbleness with which you wrote, the lack of complaint, the beauty in the writing and the brilliance, and the amazing experiences you had. Being taken up into a ship for surgery and coming back down, and just one experience after the other. It was like, oh my God. And all done with complete humility, and the book is brilliant. I just finished the first one and I started the second one tonight. So
Great.
I'm looking forward to reading it. So I had a couple of questions for you. One is, how do I best meditate on the I am presence within? You said that was direction that was given to you, that you found was really important. How do you do that?
Yeah. You see, in the old school, they didn't know how to meditate back in the 30s, like the students of Godfrey Ray King. So they would look at the presence on the wall, they would sit and look at that, and they would pray to the picture. You know what I mean? I mean, that's kind of like if you go into a cathedral and you pray to the body on the crucifix, on the cross. Do you know what I mean? That, God is up there, but now we know how to meditate, so you can pray to the Christ light or the Divine Mother or your I am presence within you. And then it's even more powerful. So Saint Germain gives the meditation in the first chapter of Unveiled Mysteries, where he just says, imagine that there's a sun in your center of your chest. It's not really the heart, which is more to the left. It's right, you can feel it. When you tap on it, it's sensitive there. And in India, they call it the Jyoti. It's where the fire, it's where the sacred light from your God presence comes down through the top of the head, and it's anchored there. We would all be dead without that light. That's the light that keeps us, that keeps the heart beating. It's pulsing, it's sending out signals to the heart, beat, 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 So we give gratitude to that light. Thank you. And thank you for this lifetime, and thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you that I can experience this moment. And I want more light, more love. And just imagine that sun getting brighter and brighter and radiating out through you. See, physical body is an illusion. Physical matter is just energy and vibration, energy, vibration, and thought, So just know that light is going out through your body, and it's perfecting your body. It's blessing all the cells, but it's radiating out through your neighborhood, through your country, through the whole world.
My last name means from the sun. Vander is on.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I've always loved it. And I get up in the morning and pray to the sun and do my surya. And that's
Beautiful.
one of my big practices. What else? There was something else I wanted to ask you. I'm losing my train of thought.
Well, if you forget, we can come back later if you remember, or
It's totally slipped my mind. If you were, I do have one other question that I do remember. If you were to, do you think everybody has a different path to samadhi, or does everybody have, are there road signs that are similar for everyone?
The essence is the same, but there are many approaches to it. Like there are many paths that lead up the mountain, but they all go to the top, So there's many different methods of meditation. One of my most powerful spiritual experiences happened while I was shoveling manure, horse manure, horse poop, that I was helping a friend, and I just went into samadhi. I was just shoveling, not thinking about anything. And suddenly I was gone. There was no Peter. I was just light and bliss. And I heard the sound of Om, cosmic Om. It's not like even the word you can say. It's, it's like a drone. And I don't know how long I was gone, but when I came back, the horse was looking at me. I still had the pitchfork in the air. And so, I can't tell somebody else you should shovel manure and you'll become enlightened. You might do that your whole life and not have an experience, Now, I talked to the sheriff in Dunsmuir, the sheriff is a police officer. He said, you walk by here every day. You seem very happy. Why is that? And I said, well, I meditate. And he said, what's that? So I explained the meditation. And he said, oh, Saturday I go fishing. I go up in the mountains to a little stream, to a pond, and I lean against a tree. I throw the hook in the water. I lean back, and next thing I know, an hour has passed, and I feel very happy, and I have the answers to my questions. And I said, well, that's meditation too,
I was blessed to meditate with His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Nice.
Distance doing Kabbalah 30 years ago when I landed in samadhi. And I come out and I didn't know what to do. And I was a white girl living in Washington, D.C. Didn't know anyone. I didn't even know what samadhi was. All I knew was that I was gone and I couldn't, I was in a different place than everybody I knew. And I couldn't get back to what I thought was reality. And it took me 6 months to come down.
Oh,
and now I spent the rest of my life trying to get back.
Yeah. Well, you meditate on that sun, say, I am the son of God, just feel that I am the son. It's not
I'm waking up vibrating. What is that? I'm waking up like I have a feeling somebody's sending me energy.
Could be.
And I wake up with this whole body vibration thing happening.
It could be your own higher self sending you energy, or, ask the presence, show me what that is. Maybe I need some minerals. Maybe I need magnesium. You don't know. Ask the presence, what is that coming from? Or is it show me that I need some herbs or something? I don't know, why that would be.
I think it's from a guru. I think there's a guru sending me energy.
Well.
Anyway, thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah. So we have someone else with a question? Or maybe an answer?
Miss
Po,
Dinah,
si Ate Dinah, ma'am.
I have a comment.
Okay.
I'm beginning to understand just by listening to you for a few minutes
Yeah.
now. I am presence. Basically, it's the same as the new terminology now is I am awareness. I am God. Am I on the same wavelength with you about that? I am presence. I am awareness. I am God.
Well, there is an actual being that is the real you that they call the I am presence in English, you know. In India, they may call it the Atman. You know, now in Tibetan Buddhism, it would be the Dharmakaya. Kaya means body, and Dharma is the truth, you know, so it's like your true body. So the true you, the light, that ball of light that's up there, that is, they call I am presence in English, but other languages call it something else. But then there's the I am consciousness. So when you say I am in whatever language, if you're German, you can say ich bin, you know, or French, it's je suis. When you say that, that brings God into action, you know. So it's very hard to, you know, God is beyond words. So very hard to bring that concept into language, you know. So they, in the 30s, they called it the I am presence, you know, but it is an actual presence, an actual being, a living being that's your true self. But when you say, I am the presence of God in action, doing this, then it comes down through your physical body, it goes out, you know. So does that make it a little better? So,
Yes. Thank
yeah.
you.
Sure.
any more question from the group? You can ask now.
So this
Ro-
doesn't need to be complicated, you know, it's really very simple. And the essence of it is the love, you know, which you feel in your heart. And to some people, they feel the love more, some people feel the light more. So that's kind of like the masculine and feminine aspects of God. And we each have both of them. But sending that out and to have compassion for other people, you know, I think that's one of the reasons we are in embodiment, you know, in this movie, is to learn compassion for others, you know, that if somebody is suffering in China, that's also part of me suffering, you know. So when you do this meditation, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for everyone.
G, you can unmute yourself and ask questions.
Because no one is asking. Hi again, Peter. I just wanted to know if you have tried some Kriya practices in the past few years or recently.
Well, you know, the Kriya is really a preliminary practice. I hate to say this, but it needs, after the Kriya, you need Raja Yoga, which is the meditation aspect. The Kriya is very good for opening the nadis, that's the subtle nervous system, you know, and preparing the body for meditation. But after that, you need the meditation practice. So the Kriya is a preliminary practice.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about your meditation practices?
Well, it's kind of what I've been doing. The most powerful one is just to feel the light within you and expand it. You know what I mean? Now, there are many other practices, like you can do white Tara practice. That is, all the Taras have little different qualities. So, you know, being in a male body, I thought I should develop more of the mother quality. So for a few years, I did white Tara practice. And she taught, you know, and then there's another mantra for that, different mantra. And that was very, very beautiful. I felt my whole body would be filled with light. You know, I do this twice a day. And then you know, there have been other practices also. So you ask God, which practice, you know, should I do, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, there's many. Another very powerful is Vipassana. I
Yes.
ran a Vipassana center in Mount Shasta for about 3 years. And you just observe the in-breath and the out-breath. And that slows the mind down. You know, you just feel the rise and fall of your chest. And then you observe the thoughts. So when you get a thought, you just label it thinking, or maybe you feel a pain in your knee, you just go thinking, or pain, and then you let it go, and you come back to the in-breath and the out-breath, the rise and fall. And then you just observe the thoughts as they go by, and sometimes you'll have great insight. You'll see something in a new way, you know, or you can sit down and say, I am being shown why, what am I, you know, during this meditation practice with the center that I had, I realized a lot of people came there to meditate because they were suffering, and the meditation got them out of the suffering, you know? But then I thought, what if when you sit down to meditate, you ask, what am I feeling? A lot of people don't even know what they're feeling. You know, like at the time I was feeling lonely. And I said, oh, I'm feeling lonely. Where is that coming from? So I am the present showing me why I feel lonely. And then, wait a minute, I'm not really alone. There are a lot of people around that like me. And I have a lot of friends. You know, this is something I need to look at. So I kept observing the in-breath and the out-breath. Suddenly I realized that's an illusion. I'm not really lonely at all, you know? But so you can ask a question and you just learn to sit with yourself. So in other words, one part of yourself is observing another part of yourself. Like if you read Eckhart Tolle, his first book, you know, The Power of Now, he was depressed, chronically depressed, the first part of his life. But then he started to observe himself. And one night before he went to bed, he realized one part of himself was observing the other part being depressed. So he said, what if instead of identifying with the Eckhart that's depressed, I identify with the observer. And then he felt happy. And he woke up in the morning, he was still happy. He still identified with the observer, not the human depressed Eckhart, you know? So we can all do that, you know?
Yeah. I felt that energy. There was that whiff of a little bit of that loneliness even earlier when I first saw you. So I just want to give you a very big hug.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you, Joanna.
Thank you.
Now, I just wanted to say,
Just sorry, 1 second. There are 3 people who are dying to get in just to say hi. They're asking if they're still allowed to come in?
Yeah, sure. Who is this?
We have your Darshan, we have Amrit in, we have Guru Jayant, we have other people wanting to come in. Joanna, if you could just please message them in the group chat.
Okay.
that,
Yeah,
um,
they could try again.
Oh,
I-
maybe if I unlock the meeting,
Yes.
I'll unlock the meeting.
So they can
yes, thank
go in.
you.
right? Yes.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to say
So
real
I'm
quick
back
before
now.
we go,
You will not regret meeting them too.
that the reason I vibrate, I'm sure, is because I know my guru sends out really strong energies and she turns into light. And I have sat with Mohanji, who many of you know, and seen him in light, in so much light that his head was like disappearing.
Beautiful.
We're in the same room. And Joey also has turned into light. There are quite a few beings on the planet right now who can turn into light.
Mhm.
Lucky for us.
Yeah.
Now we can learn how to turn into light. That's the goal, right? Kathleen's just been on a week with Saima, her holding the Saima, where she's learning to turn into light.
Good.
So she's going to teach me, right?
Mhm.
Miss Violeta, you have a question? Yeah. You can unmute yourself and you can ask question. Thank you, Alex. You're,
Can you
yes.
unmute her? She may not know how to find that button.
Yeah, okay. Unmute yourself. I'm trying
Click
to
this. Oh, did I? Okay. So, Peter, pranam again.
None.
Yeah. I just was interested of what you said about Kriya. That is just a preliminary. It is an unlocking of the nadis or the opening of the nadis. And then because it has to be followed by Raja Yoga. Now my question is, can you please talk something about Raja Yoga so that we may know what we will do next after Kriya?
Well, Raja means royal, you know, the royal. So that's working directly with the mind. You know, you're not doing things with the body and the breath anymore. You know, you're not doing asanas or, you know, visualizing the energy circulating in the body and things like that. It's purely non-physical, non-dimensional, just working with pure consciousness. And you get there through, there are many ways to get there, like even doing a mantra or doing vipassana. But, you know, nowadays, everybody wants things instantaneously. I want to take a workshop on the weekend, then I want to be enlightened. I want to be a master. I want to whatever, you know, but this, it could take years. It could take lifetimes. But, you know, it's nothing. Like I went on a 3-year retreat, like in 2014, I think. You know, most of that time meditating, you know, and that was very joyful. It was not, oh gosh, I'm closed off here, I'm away, you know. So, but that's where you get into these higher states, you know, that is beyond the body. You know, the Kriya Yoga is very much focused on the body. That's my experience. I haven't taken all the different trainings, you know, but I know people that practice it. Of course, Yogananda is a very great being, you know, and he is. I get contact from him sometimes, you know, but you know, I'm just saying I see people get stuck in the Kriya Yoga and they seem not to get beyond the physical. I just have to say it how I see it, you know? So, see, my belief is if you were, I knew, when I lived in the Himalayas, I lived with yogis who knew Babaji personally, you know, and they didn't do these Kriya Yoga things. Maybe they did when they started out, but then they went beyond that. They went into pure being, pure consciousness, you know? So anyway, but it's hard.
So,
You can't put that in writing, you know, you can't even talk about it. You have to do the practices.
so beyond the body, in pure being. So it means that Raja Yoga is a state of stillness, beingness. Yeah, not anymore of Kriya, which is associated by circulation, by asanas, not anymore of that, but it is already of stillness, of beingness. Is that it?
Well, yeah, the word yoga
Peter.
means union, right? Doesn't it mean union? Yoga?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it is.
Hatha yoga is the union of the sun and the moon, you know. But this is Raja yoga, the royal yoga. It goes beyond the sun and the moon. It's the union with pure consciousness, you know. So you're not aware of yourself, you know, you go beyond the identity of, you know, being a person trying to meditate, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So that
To-
is what Lahiri Mahashaya said, that it is a Kriya poise. After the asanas, after all the movements of circulation, then stay in beingness, stay in stillness, and that is Kriya poise, his term.
What did he
Is
call it? Kriya what?
Kriya poise,
Poise.
P-O-I-S-E,
That's
poise.
nice. That's very good.
Yeah. Kriya poise. So is that what you mean, Peter, by Raja Yoga?
Yeah, sure. Well, like
Okay.
I say, the term like Nirvikalpa Samadhi, I used to go into that when I was a child, but I didn't know what to call it. I would leave my body, you know, I would not be aware of the self. I would just be in a state of bliss. And my friends would be looking at me, you know, and I would come back then into the body and they say, "Where were you?" They said, "For the last 2 minutes, you've been standing there with a blank look on your face." You know, because I would go into this world of bliss that was beyond Peter, beyond self, beyond the body, beyond the earth, just timelessness and light and joy, pure consciousness. So that, you know, you can go into that, and that is, I would say, the Raja Yoga. Well, that's samadhi. It's like union with God, you know. But you can't stay like, if you stay like that, like Ramakrishna, you can't drive a car in that. You can't be in a relationship. You can't raise children. Someone has to take care of your body, you know. You can only stay in that for so long or the body will die, you know. So it's nice to be able to go into that. It's like recharging yourself, you know. Now, maybe some people at night when they go to sleep, they go up into that. Then you come back in the morning, you don't want to be here because the three-dimensional world, I have to pay bills, I have to fix my computer or whatever, you know. Anyway.
So anyway, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Peter.
with
Thank
pleasure.
you. I was enlightened by your answer. Thank
Good.
you.
My pleasure. Yeah. You have a wonderful daughter too.
You can mute yourself.
Please mute Amrit, Joanna. He's on the move, so he won't even notice that he's.
Okay. There. So any question from the Amy? Do you have question for Peter? Hello, Amy. You can unmute yourself. You have question. Amy.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so sorry that I'm not on video, but Peter, this is such a treat coming on the eve of our winter solstice. I'm here in South Africa, and it's not the first time that we are meeting. I've read your first book. We have connected before, and I feel such joy. I don't particularly have any questions because you have answered my question in what you answered regarding doing the kriyas, and there comes a time when you actually go beyond doing all this and in just being in the beingness, being in that awareness, and everything that you're doing, it's like living, walking meditation in such deep awareness of what you are, where your thoughts are, what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you are, one is actually emitting out into the world as well. Am I correct in this summation?
Yes, and I would like to say that mastery is beyond enlightenment. I mean, it's wonderful to be enlightened, you know, but like some of these great beings that I met in the Himalayas that didn't need to eat food and stuff, they couldn't relate to women. They could not be around women, you know, because they suppressed that energy. There was a part of them that desired the feminine energy, you know, but they went, oh, that, you know, so if an American woman visited them, they went kind of nuts. So they would say negative things about the women and say the women were trying to seduce them. Well, that's not true. The women were very pure. They had a pure motive, but these men, you know, they're just not used to being around women. So, and, you know, they also would talk about, you know, money was evil and, you know, but I think some of those people will have to reincarnate maybe in the West and be mothers and raise children, you know? In fact, I met a woman, Indian woman, her family, you know, arranged a marriage for her, wanted her to have children. And she said, please help me get out of here. I want to go to the Himalayas. And I realized she was one of these yogis from the Himalayas, you know, that thought they had reached the end of the path, but, you know, they had to come back and reincarnate to do the whole relationship, you know, earthly thing, because that's where the mastery is, in learning to deal with things. You know, it's very easy, well, not very easy, but it's easier to be a master when there's no temptations or distractions, you know. You don't have to earn a living, support a family, but try to do that in the world when you have a partner, maybe the partner has problems, and you know, and then to help other people too. This is being in the world is a real challenge. So if you're going to be an ascended master and come back and help people, you have to know what people are going through, how they live, you know. So I know I was a yogi in a past lifetime in India, you know, and people thought I reached the end of the path, you know, but here I am back again, because a lot of things I didn't know. And again, one of them was patience, you know, learning patience, you know.
Yes, what we
You know, you
look on
explain to
as
somebody how to meditate, then you expect that they immediately can levitate or something. And then if you get angry that they can't, then that's a problem that you have, you know. If you're a good teacher, you have to be patient with the student, you know. So I'm sorry I cut you off there.
No, exactly. Thank you very much. What you were saying, that many those on the path will really look on as being like very mundane, but these are the very things that will actually lead you into that level of mastery, where you are so completely in balance and in harmony with everything within yourself and in the world as well. So what your messages are reinforcing where I've been, because I was, in a sense, a little bit lost, because I was just thinking, I can't simply get into the rhythm of just simply being in meditation. And I thought that maybe I'm going into tamas, or what is the matter with me? Why can't I plug in again? But conversely, I have been also very much in awareness, and that has been growing and growing. And I'm in awareness of that as well. So is this something that I'm just telling myself a story, or
No,
is
well, there are times in your life when you maybe sit, you know, on retreat and, you know, for 10 days and meditate, or, you know, you sit in your room for hours and meditate. Then there are other times when you're supposed to be more in the world, you know, like to say, well, if I go for a walk, if I go into town, sit in a cafe, maybe there's somebody there I can help. Like just even sitting in the cafe and sending out love and doing affirmations for people, that's a great service. So maybe you're at a time in your life you need to be more active, you know? Like I heard there's a town in Oregon called Ashland, and they would have every Sunday a grandmother sit on the bench, and they would put a notice that if you want to talk to a grandmother, it doesn't cost anything. She's going to be on this bench, and you can go and talk to her. And, you know, there are many grandmothers volunteered for that. That's a great service. That's a lesson in mastery right there. Just to be available to help people that need you. You know, there are many young people that feel lost. If they could talk to an older person, it would help them a lot, you know.
Yes, I agree. And that's something that happened to me when I walked into a shopping mall just a few weeks back. And I was going into this coffee shop, and there was this lady. And I just looked at her, and a complete stranger to me. Yeah. But her face looked so amazing. She looked like a character from one of your favorite movies, that grandmotherly, beautiful type. And I just couldn't resist. And I told her, "You are so beautiful." Um, and we got talking, and she says, she started talking about the Christ just like that. And I said, "But I love Jesus. I love him so much." And she was so beautiful. And she told me her name is Isidora, and a whole lot of things about her. And at the end of that brief conversation, I said, "Please, may I give you a hug?" He says, "Of course." And we just hugged, complete
Right.
strangers. And it was the most beautiful thing. And I still remember, I still picture her face. It is so lovely. And reading your book as well, your first book, it was so delicious, Peter. You
Thank
know,
you.
your time spent with Pearl Doris as well. I wanted to immediately, like after I read the autobiography of a yogi, I wanted to run to Mount Shasta and find Pearl Doris.
Well, she's
So,
aware of you, you know, when you look at her picture, say her name, she helps many people. So she's aware of you, you know, you can talk to her.
yeah, yeah. And what I got from that as well, that most affirming and beautiful affirmation, "I am the pearl of great price."
Mm.
I am. And it still gives me goosebumps thinking about that. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Joanna and Peter, for for asking my questions. I don't want to hog the call. I'm sure there must be others who need to ask. Thank you so much, Peter. So beautiful to reconnect with you. I feel so blessed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Peter, I have a question.
Okay.
Is there a message is there an urgent message for us from the Ascended Masters, especially Saint Germain, especially now that after COVID, a lot of things had changed, and we can really feel that we are shifting into something. And do the masters have a message for us?
Yes, there is a great change taking place, you know, and some people don't feel it, but many others do. Like in Mount Shasta, sometimes people walk up to me and they say, "Are you feeling the ascension symptoms?"
Mhm.
And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And they say, "Well, you're being pulled up on one hand, but then there are a lot of problems in the human world on the other hand, you know, so you're like a rubber band being stretched, you know."
Mhm.
So Saint Germain told me a long time ago that things would happen on the earth that would require like, I don't know, you can call it a mass ascension. He didn't use that word, but a great lifting up, you know. And we are being prepared for that. And not everybody is ready for that. But that's why it's important not to get pulled down, pulled into arguments, or to feel depressed. You know, everybody, this is a movie that we're in, you know, and we volunteered to be here because like we're actually, God wanted to have this experience, you know? So just know that not everybody has the same destiny, and to feel compassion for everybody, but also to work on your own ascension. This ascension is something going to be very real,
Oh.
you know.
So
And
it can happen anytime soon. Is this
I think soon, you know, of course, soon, when the masters say soon, it could be 20 years, you know, but to me, it's feeling something happening, you know, in the next year or so, you know.
So what is the best preparation for it? Is it like a physical kind of ascension? And then how do we best prepare for it?
Well, put it this way, I've been taken into the inner earth,
Mhm.
and it's very much like the outer earth, but it's at a higher frequency, but there's a sun there. And I was taken in the spaceship into the inner earth. This is something I've had experience with for many, many years, you know, 50 years. And again, not in the physical body, out of the body, but it's very, very real. And there are people there that I used to know who died, you know, they say died, they left the body, and they welcome me when I get there and say, Peter, good to see you. And, you know, they're happy and, you know, and they're like waiting for us, you know. Now, Pearl used to talk about, there were some beings that she knew that she said, they're in the inner earth, you know. And some of them have a choice if they're going to re-embody again on the surface or not, but it's a beautiful world. It's what in, you know, Tibet they would call Shambhala, or we call it paradise, whatever. And I know it sounds crazy, but I've been there many times, and I'm hesitant to talk about it just because it sounds so bizarre. But since somebody asked the question, you know, I'm just saying what I know to be true. And so it's not to get drawn into the dramas that are going on or to get depressed or angry, things like that, to just keep sending that light out and the compassion, and also to ask, what do I need to clear before this change? Like, is there someone I need to forgive or ask for forgiveness or something like that? That's very important now. And try to feel compassion, and don't give up hope. Feel, I am the presence of God sitting right here now, and my every thought is affecting humanity. So I choose to think positive thoughts. You know, just realize each of you is a being from the great central sun. So I am the light of the great central sun going out to humanity. And you don't have to see flashing lights or violet fire or whatever. You feel it in your heart. Feel something, there's something happening there, you know?
Wow.
Even if you don't feel it, just saying the words, you're doing good, you know? And have confidence in yourselves, you know, just realize it's what the Buddhists call basic goodness. Even if you've done bad things, the light in your heart is good. You should say, I am a good person, you know? Even if nobody else thinks that, I feel good, I have goodness, you know? I am good. That Christ child in you is good.
Wow. Thank you.
You see that picture of Mother Mary, it's called the Immaculate Heart of Mary. She opens her chest and you see the heart. Of Jesus too, where you see the heart, you know. So I met some monks in Greece on Mount Athos. That's their whole prayer. May the heart of Christ be everywhere known. So everyone you contact, the heart of Christ is in them, or the heart of Mary, you know?
Mm.
Just hold that vision, you know? So,
Wow.
yeah.
Thank you, Peter. Thank
Even
you.
in the world leaders, they seem to be, you know, some bad people, but just know somewhere inside there is a basic goodness. And you have to tell them, listen to your heart, you know,
Mhm.
follow your heart. And I call on the masters to help the world leaders, you know. The masters need us to do these calls, to call them into action. So,
Thank you, Peter.
my
So,
pleasure.
Amy, have a question? Amy, you can unmute
Thank,
yourself.
thank you, Joanna. Peter, when you spoke about mass ascension, is this like people exiting their bodies, millions and millions of people that we have been hearing about? Is that what you mean by that? Do we have to prepare for so many, like maybe millions of souls leaving their bodies?
That could very well be, you know, that could very well be.
Okay.
Over, I have to say, during the last few years, many people have left their bodies, you know, during this COVID thing. And some of them just were even perfect health and they just went bang like that. You know, they just dropped. And those people, many of them now are in this world of light, you know? So we don't need to feel sorry for them. We might miss them, you know, but they're on the other side there. I have contact with some of them and they're doing great, you know?
Mhm. Thank you, Peter. So this calls for real mastery. So when this happens, we just need to be there to be able to help and to understand from higher perspectives as to what's truly happening, and not get caught up in the drama of what is happening externally. Is that what that's how we need to prepare ourselves?
Exactly. To stay centered and to try to feel compassion for others, you know?
I
And
joined the call.
forgiveness, you know, forgive all those that have hurt you during this life and ask them, others, to forgive you for anything you may have done to hurt them.
Thank you, Peter. Just one more question, and you see now there's another big, huge wave coming from, you know, the so-called leaders of our world regarding another round of vaccinations, etc. And they're targeting our children in this case.
Yeah.
How should one respond to that?
Well, that's very difficult. You know, I believe in standing up for what you believe to be the truth of this, you know, and not to allow the government to force you to do something. But there's some people, like their child cannot go to school unless they comply, you know. So what I would, if I were in that situation, I would ask Violet Tara and Saint Germain to dissolve and consume anything negative from that vaccination, you know. So all that I would get would be water, you know. But yeah, I don't want to really get into a political discussion, but you know, this thing was created by certain negative powers, you know, to control humanity. And we don't, where we're going, we'll be beyond that. We'll be beyond their reach, you know.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thanks for those answers.
Personally do not want anybody putting anything in my body that I don't want, you know.
So, in this case, where the negative is seemingly so very powerful, and it's like the entire world, all world leaders are being bullied or coerced into following a certain agenda, and if certain leaders are not following and doing their bidding, and as to how they are planning their dastardly deeds, so they something happens to them. In this case, it's not the free will of humanity, or is it a collective free will that we have to go through this?
Well, the
So
point is you don't have to go through it. So everyone that's on the earth volunteered to be here at this time to go through this. But you still have the choice personally of what you want to do about it, you know. And again, trust that there's a plan for your life. It's not just accidents happening. So, you know, do your inner work and prepare to go to a higher dimension, you know.
okay, thank you so much, Peter.
Yeah, because if you worry about this every day and you try to fight this and you get in arguments with people, that's just bringing you down, you know. You want to keep your energy high and know that the masters are looking out for you, you know. So
Mataji, you have a question?
Yeah, can you still take a question, Peter? Are you tired
Okay.
already? I know it's been
Okay.
over an hour now.
We're going to close it off pretty soon here, but we have a question.
Right. I could feel that you might be starting to feel exhausted now. You've mentioned the Mother Mary several times. Philippines is predominantly, we're actually the only Catholic country in Southeast Asia. And here in the Philippines, we connect to the Divine Mother through the Holy Rosary, which is technically just like chanting, repeating Hail Mary, Our Father. And then, of course, we go to Mass every Sunday. And for some, every day, we have the novenas. We have the pictures, we have the candles, we have the murtis, we have the statues, and the whole, the gamut of the Catholic faith. Is there anything else that you would like to add for us to deepen our devotion to the Mother Mary and how to connect to her apart from our traditional practices in the Catholic faith?
Well, I think you have it already, you know, it's in your heart, you know. It's just your ability to accept, you know, what happens when you're sitting in Mass. It's between you and God, you know. It's not up to the priest, you know. It's you and God, and the cathedral is a very beautiful place. You know, you can feel God there, you know. And I know once I was in India, and on Christmas Day, I went to Mass, you know. I'm not Catholic, but I thought there were no other, you know, it's Christmas in India, they don't celebrate Christmas. So I decided to go to the Catholic Mass, and I took communion. And when the priest put the wafer on my tongue, he said, "This is the body of Christ." And at that moment, I turned into Jesus. I felt Jesus come into my body. And that I've been to communion before, that never happened, you know, and never happened since then. But that one time it did, you know, but I really needed it because I had been sick and everything. And I got a tremendous blessing, you know, and it's because I was very sincere and I had a need in my heart to experience, you know, to experience Jesus. And there he was, you know, so. You know, you don't need to be Hindu or Tibetan Buddhist or anything, you know. God can take whatever form you believe in, you know.
Can I ask about if you have any personal experiences with the Mother Mary? And usually here in the Catholic faith, we see her as, although she steps on the snake, we don't really have a Kali version of the Mother Mary. We always see her as meek and, you know, the mother of Christ and very soft and gentle. But I just wanted to know if you have a personal, as you have an experience with the Violet Tara, have you had an experience with the Mother Mary?
Yes, I used to, there was a woman in New York City, her name was Hilda Charlton. She had a spiritual group there, and many spiritual people would go there. This was like in the 60s, you know, and 70s. And one day there was a statue of Mother Mary coming from Italy that it would shed tears. The wood statue would shed tears, you know? So she had been sent to the United States, and they were taking her to Catholic churches around the country so people could experience it, you know? So this was a big cathedral in New Jersey, Paterson, New Jersey. And I was sitting, you know, I was just wearing old clothes, and I was sitting in the middle of the church, and they needed people to carry the statue around the church. So they had 3 men all wearing black suits, you know, they were members of the church, you know. The priest said, I need one more person. He went, you, he pointed. And I couldn't, I said, I look like this. And I said, me, you know, he said, yes, come up. So I went up and I said, you know, I'm not Catholic. He said, I know that. But he said, I want you. So I bent down to pick up the pole. The statue was on a platform that was on 2 poles. So, you know, the other 3 guys were up there. So I picked up the pole. At that moment, I felt, well, first I looked into her eyes. They were like human eyes. The statue was wood, but the eyes were human, and she was looking right at me. And when I picked up the statue, she put her hand on my shoulder, and I turned because it felt like a real woman, but there was nobody there. And see, it was just before I went back to India, and I didn't want to go back to India because I'd gotten very sick the first time. She said, don't worry, I will be with you. You won't get sick this time. And it was true, I didn't, you know, so, but I was in bliss. So we walked 3 times around the cathedral, and the priest had the incense thing going like this, you know, and I don't even remember the 3 times around. I just was in a state of bliss because Mary had put her hand on my shoulder, you know. So I know she's real.
Thank you so much for inspiring us, for your energy, for your presence, and for your time. Thank you, Peter.
Well, thank you, Mataji. Thank you. So I asked the masters to guide and bless everybody participating in this call and all the people who watch this video. May they find God within and guidance from the ascended masters who are one with God also. So,
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for asking the Ascended Masters to bless us. And we do the same. We bless you as well for all the basic goodness
Thank you.
that you reminded us that we all have.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank Joanna Marie also.
Thank you.
For
Thank
bringing
you.
us all together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Peter.
Peter.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you, Peter. Thank you,
Thank you.
Joanna. Thank you, everyone on the
Ayun
call.
lang sinabi.
Di ba sinestorya?
No, Sister
Okay.
Stanley.
So I'm going to end this here. Stop
Okay, thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hope we can see the video soon.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.